Have you ever caught yourself mid-sentence, realizing you were still explaining long after the point should have landed? Maybe it was a family dinner where a grown child misinterpreted your tone, or an old friend took your quiet comment as criticism, or even a longtime neighbor assumed the worst from a simple remark. You felt the familiar tug, that urgent need to set the record straight. So you clarified your tone, justified your reaction, restated your intention, added, "That's not what I meant at all," and kept going until the air felt lighter, until you saw a nod or heard, "Oh, okay, I get it now." For a moment the discomfort eased, but later, sometimes hours, sometimes days, you noticed something had shifted. Conversations grew shorter around you. Eyes drifted sooner. Your words, once met with steady attention, now landed with a polite but distant courtesy. The very effort to be understood had quietly made you less so. If you've lived long enough to feel this pattern repeat across decades of relationships, family ties that have deepened and frayed, friendships tested by time, community roles where every word carries history, you recognize the quiet cost. The more you need to be understood, the less you're understood. That instinct to clarify everything, to leave no room for misinterpretation, isn't always wisdom. Sometimes it's the subtle erosion of the authority and presence you've spent years building. The psychological need behind this urge runs deep. Humans are wired to crave validation because, for most of our history, being seen and accepted by the group meant safety. Food shared, protection offered, belonging secured. When someone misunderstands our intention, it registers as a small rejection, a crack in that ancient safety net. Misinterpretation feels like an identity threat. If they don't see me as I see myself, who am I in their eyes? The brain responds the same way it does to social exclusion. Regions tied to physical pain light up, stress hormones rise. Focus narrows to one task: repair the breach. So we explain, we justify, we unpack every layer of motive and feeling, hoping the other person will finally see the real us. After enough years, we've all felt that pull. The quiet panic when a loved one or respected peer gets it wrong. Yet the very act of rushing to correct often backfires in ways we don't notice until the damage is done. This creates what can be called the approval loop. You clarify to ease the sting of misunderstanding. You receive reassurance. A nod, a softened expression, a quick, "I see now." Relief floods in. The brain logs the sequence. Explain to seek agreement to feel safe. The loop repeats. Over time, validation becomes emotional dependency. You start measuring your own steadiness by whether others confirm your intentions. Every conversation carries a hidden agenda. Make sure they get me right. The more you lean on external agreement to feel secure, the more fragile your inner authority becomes. What began as a desire for connection slowly turns into a need for constant emotional mirroring. And when that mirroring isn't forthcoming, because people are distracted, preoccupied, or simply human, the anxiety rises, the explanations lengthen, and the cycle tightens. Over-explaining reduces authority for a simple reason. It signals uncertainty. When you rush to justify a reaction, restate an intention, or defend your tone before anyone has even challenged it, you quietly broadcast doubt. Confidence tolerates misunderstanding. It doesn't panic at the first sign of misalignment. Insecurity, on the other hand, hurries to fill every gap, to preempt every possible objection, to make sure no shadow of doubt remains. Others read these efforts not as clarity, but as fear of disapproval. The person who speaks once and lets the statement stand projects certainty. The one who keeps circling back to explain feels like they're still trying to convince themselves. After decades of watching power move in real relationships, family decisions, long-standing friendships, community roles, you've seen it clearly. The individual who doesn't need every word received perfectly almost always holds more sway than the one who insists on perfect reception. The energy of over-transparency compounds the problem. Emotional oversharing, repeating motives, detailing feelings in layer after layer. It all floods the space with information. The scarcity rule applies even to personal disclosure. When something is given freely and repeatedly, it loses weight. Your intentions, once intriguing or respected, become ordinary when narrated at length. Full transparency removes the natural tension that makes people lean in. When everything is explained up front, there's no mystery left to draw others toward you, no subtle depth to ponder. Influence thrives in controlled ambiguity, the sense that there's more beneath the surface than you're showing. Predictability reduces intrigue. When others can anticipate your every emotional move, they stop treating you as someone with quiet power and start treating you as someone who needs managing. The hidden cost reveals itself slowly but unmistakably. People begin to feel responsible for your emotional clarity. They sense that if they don't reassure you, don't confirm they get it, you'll keep explaining until they do. That burden shifts the dynamic. You become the one who needs to explain, the one whose steadiness depends on their response. Your perceived decisiveness erodes. Instead of being seen as someone who acts from inner certainty, you're seen as someone who requires external alignment first. A subtle hierarchy shift occurs, without anyone saying a word. You slide from the position of quiet authority to the position of someone who must be soothed or convinced. Over years, this can leave you wondering why your voice, once met with respect, now meets with polite patience. Leadership offers the clearest contrast. Those who lead, whether in families, communities, or any long-standing circle, state decisions plainly. They don't narrate the emotional backstory. They don't pre-defend intent with paragraphs of context. They say what needs saying and move forward, trusting that their track record and presence will clarify what words cannot. Certainty feels stronger than explanation, because it assumes understanding rather than begging for it. The leader who tolerates temporary misalignment without panic retains framing power. The one who rushes to correct every misstep hands that power away. Of course, being understood matters in certain contexts. In close relationships, long marriages, deep friendships, parent-child bonds, appropriate transparency builds trust and prevents resentment. During genuine conflict resolution or when repairing long-term damage, explaining intent with care can heal rather than weaken. These moments call for vulnerability, not performance. The key is balance, knowing when clarity serves connection and when it serves insecurity. The discipline of emotional containment is straightforward yet demanding. Speak once, clearly, without elaboration. Avoid repeated clarification unless new facts demand it. Accept partial misunderstanding as part of human interaction. Let actions, consistency, and time do the clarifying work that endless words cannot. Maturity isn't never being misunderstood. It's learning to tolerate it without losing composure. When you stop treating every misinterpretation as a crisis, you reclaim the inner space that over-explaining had filled. This leads to the deeper identity shift. Stop chasing agreement as proof of your worth. Stop managing other people's perception, moment to moment. Focus instead on consistent behavior, showing up steady, acting from principle, letting your life speak louder than your explanations. Reputation compounds without narration. A name built on decades of reliability, quiet integrity, and calm resolve carries its own clarity. Others eventually align their view with the pattern they observe over time, not with the anxious corrections you once rushed to provide. Here is the internal confrontation that arrives after enough years of watching this dynamic play out. The need to be understood is often the fear of being disliked in disguise. We tell ourselves we're seeking clarity, but beneath it lies the older, deeper worry. If they don't see me right, they won't like me, won't value me, won't keep me close. That fear, however natural, quietly undermines the very respect we crave. Letting it go doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. It means trusting that the self you've forged through time, flawed, human, but steady, doesn't require constant translation to be worthy. You've earned the right to speak once and let the moment stand. To feel misunderstood without panic. To rest in the certainty that your actions, your presence, your history will do the explaining far better than any hurried paragraph ever could. Next time the urge rises to clarify everything, pause. Breathe. Let the discomfort sit. Watch how quickly the room recalibrates when you stop needing them to get it right. And start trusting that you already are.